Hello and welcome to Rawr Reviews. I'm Andrew Jenson here today with Aleya Ericson and Whitley. This week we saw the new Cinderella film directed by Kenneth Branagh, starring Lily James and Cate Blanchett, and it's, well, the story of Cinderella. So there isn't much that different in this film that differs from the original animated feature from Disney about 50 years ago. It does add a little more about Cinderella's backstory, how she was called Ella, then the stepsisters added Cinder to her name because she had ashes on her face once. It was okay. I wasn't exactly blown away by it. It looked nice. It looked really, really good, but I don't know. I'm going to stick with the original.
I feel like that's always a bit of a cop-out when you go to see a movie that everything else is just okay. You're like, it's pretty. The costuming was good, and probably to the period. Everybody had their big fancy ball gowns out. Yeah. Cinderella's, famous dress for the ball looked
I just
amazing.
Don't know what else to say about it. Yeah. If I were to rate this movie, I'd probably give it a 6 out of 10. I was just kind of bored by it. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, I'd probably give it a 6 out of 10, too. I know people are like, but it was aimed for kids. Well, if you make a good movie, everybody should be able to enjoy it, I loved Big Hero 6. It was fun, it was charming, but this movie, it was just kind of sickeningly sugary sweet.
Yeah. I'm sort of repelled with that. Cinderella was just, so sweet. I mean, that sort of goes with the character, but here, as opposed to the animated movie where you could buy that a little more, this one's like, she's all smiles and so happy, and you kind of just want to see something violent happen to her just to make things more interesting. But
yeah, and people give gritty live-action reboots a bunch of crap, but wouldn't that have been awesome if Cinderella went all Kill Bill on the set?
Cinderella and zombies.
Yes!
Awesome. Claire, what score would you give this?
I don't know. Probably like a 7 out of 10. A little bit higher than you guys. I enjoy it just because I'm not a fan of the cartoon version, probably because I haven't seen it since I was 8. Mm-hmm. But I really like the trend of remaking Disney films. Like, there was a Red Riding Hood a couple years ago. There was Alice in Wonderland. There's been all of these, like Hansel and Gretel. There's been all of these things. And while those ones I feel like did a better job than this one did of remaking it and making a new story out of it, I did enjoy it. It was entertaining, but I got the sense that they were trying a little bit to take ideas from the book Just Ella. And I feel like if they had just stuck with making a movie about that book, it would have been a lot better. Because it is a remake of a Cinderella story.
It is.
So, I don't know.
I think one of the biggest problems with it was Lady Tremaine. For me, Lady Tremaine was always one of the scariest Disney villains. I mean, just the way they lit her in the original animated film, she was creepy and she was genuinely intimidating. She was constantly in darkness, and a lot of times you could only just see sort of the whites of her eyes. And they did that a little bit in this one, but most of the time she just sort of came off as a jerk, and I'm not sure that's as intimidating. Like, I didn't feel so bad for Cinderella. I was like, people sort of had to deal with that all the time. I don't know. I don't feel as bad for Cinderella in this one as I did in the animated feature.
No,
so.
She didn't really get any pity points for me.
She did.
I mean, until maybe, I felt a little bit of pity points when the mom called her Cinderella, when the stepmom called her Cinderella, because she was, like, laughing it off, kind of like, well, why are you going to call her that or whatever? And then she tried to sit with them, and she's just like, Cinderella. And I thought that was just like, aw. And then it just reminded me of Mean Girls. You can't sit with us.
Don't sit down here. Yeah. This version also felt a little too, I don't know, gaudy, too pretty at times. Like, with the Cinderella cage, I preferred I was expecting something a little more simple as in the original animated film. I know I keep going back to that, but when I saw this one, I wasn't expecting anything like, it was literally all gold and everything is like, you can see it like half a mile away or whatnot. Like, I'm not sure about that. It's not. It's not very, I don't think it fits in with, like, I don't know, with Cinderella's character or anything like that. Like, there was that point in the film where she tells fairy godmother, don't change my dress, or like, you can touch it up a little bit, and then what happens is she completely changes the dress, and Cinderella's like, oh, it's so pretty, and like, that doesn't seem to fit with what you were saying earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you would be one to take a ride in that carriage. I don't know. It's
Or like, and the character motivations when she first met Prince Charming, like she came across as like a really down to earth kind of really cool like woman, and then all of a sudden, you know, she's just like, oh, Prince Charming, I don't want to marry a man that I just met.
No, of course not.
And I love it when they kind of throw that line in, even though it's like that's an excuse.
It was definitely a cop-out. It was such a cop-out. Like, how do you want to marry the man you just met? Speaking of riding a horse in the woods with a young man that you just met and are now enamored by.
I don't get the fascination with it, like from Frozen and all that. Oh, we've got to point this out. You know, we got to talk about this in their fairy tales. Like, it's a fairy tale. We'll go along with it. You don't need to point it out. It just makes it harder to watch.
Well, if you're gonna point it out, you have to at least subvert it. Like, I feel like they're also making a live action version of Mulan, and I'm super excited. But well, at least, like, in Mulan, they didn't point it out, but they had better establishing the relationship. Here, it's like, they pointed it out, and then it's like, what, you guys had one horse ride together and a couple dances?
And then a night.
Yeah.
But the guy that was Prince Charming, what a stud, though. I mean, look at that guy.
Rob
Hair
Stark.
was great. Oh, yeah. Boom! Yeah, I don't know. I just don't know what to say about the film. It didn't leave much impression on me.
I just wish, like I said, that if they were going to try and remake the Cinderella movie fairy tale, those directors should have just read just Ella and redone the movie that way, because that's a really good read, and I think they would make a really good Cinderella movie.